What up, Tech is Gaming? This is your boy Jermaine with Tech Toys and Gaming, and in today's video, I want to talk about the DM30 by Maono. Now, I have done a full review on the DM30. You can check the card right there for that. But in this video, I want to talk about the Maono Link compatible software that comes for the Maono DM30 specifically. Now, what we want to look at today is whether or not the DM30 is going to be improved by installing and utilizing the features that are packed into the Maono Link software, or if it's just software junk and if it's even worth downloading and installing the Maono Link software or even getting the DM30 at all. Let's take a look. All right, Tech and Gamers. So this is the site where you would actually download the Maono Link application that is compatible with the DM30 by Maono. And as you can see here, it's a simple basic download page that works for Windows, Mac, Android, Google Play. I guess you can utilize this on your mobile device as well. There's more. Let's see. Nope, that's it. Fake arrow. And as you can see, the application works for the DM30 and the PD400X, which is what this lady right here is actually utilizing. And if we scroll down, we'll see both microphones in its full. You can shop for both the DM30 and the PD400X. Obviously the 400X is going to be a better, beefier, better sounding quality microphone. Looking at the site here, it says it's pretty easy to use. You can link and connect to 4 different devices. No complex routing required. Provide more accurate professional audio parameters and all that good stuff with presets. Function upgrades. Yes, you can utilize limiters, compressors, volume control, EQ modes. Yes, there are a few EQ modes. You can control your RGB lighting via the application. There are 4 settings: deep, natural, bright, and legacy. We'll see what that sounds like in our testing. And if you have any questions, don't ask me, come to the FAQs. What? Now it's a simple download. For me, I am Windows. I already have it downloaded and fully installed and ready to go on the fly, but I want you to see what it looks like when you download it. Go to your downloads. I have 2 of them here. And if you open the file and you run the exe, you're gonna click run. Now what this is gonna do is, if you have Windows 10 or 11, you're gonna get this pop-up that shows you that Windows is trying to protect your PC from malicious stuff. But if you click on more info, you will see that it's from an unknown publisher. It's by Maono. Completely safe. I have downloaded and installed it already. You can run anyway here at the bottom. I'm not gonna run it because I already have it installed, and that's all there is to it. You download it, install it, run it, and what you will see on your desktop is this application in your flying face. What? How does your face fly? All right, Tech is Gaming. So right now I am running with the AM8, and this is what the Fine AM8 sounds like. I have some limiters, some compressors, and some noise suppression going on this microphone. And this is the quality that you're going to get with a relatively decent Fine microphone for about 60 to 70 bucks, right? The price is fluctuating right now. There is some demand for this. This is a pretty hot topic, the AM8 by Fine. So if you want to check that, I'll leave the link as well for this microphone. But today, let's talk about the DM8. What? All right. So right now we are going to make the switch from the AM8 to the DM30 simply by pressing the mute on the AM8. And wow, that mute button was a pop. Unmuting it was a little abrasive to my ear. Let me try that again. All right. Flag number 1, that mute button is definitely audible. Now, this is the sound of the Maono coming fresh out of box. I have it at 100% gain. The midtones sound a little bit congested. It sounds to me in my ears like I have a cold. And the bass is not that great. I don't see any bass boost here right off the rip, so you might have to tinker with that in post. 50% of the way, and it still is relatively loud here in my OBS settings. Let's take a look at the software. Off the rip, the software is kind of basic. I like the color, yellow and black. It looks nice. You can't make it full screen, so this is what it is. Now, when I first launched it, I actually had to do a firmware update. So I went ahead and did a full firmware update for the Maono DM30. There was one available. So most likely for you coming out of box, there will be a firmware update. So be sure to check that first and foremost before you go diving into using this microphone. Headphone monitoring, you can turn it off or on if you prefer not to have it on. Now to the tones, deep tone. Deep tone kind of kills off some of the higher tones and the hissing as well. So the hisses will get reduced, and I feel like you kind of lose a little bit of the mid tones. I don't know if I like deep tones. It's not adding bass in my opinion. Natural is kind of the way it comes out of box. This is the way you will get it with no features, no software, anything, just the microphone by itself. I can't tell the difference between bright, check 1, 2, 3, natural, check 1, 2, 3. Brights, you tell me if you can hear anything different, techies and gamers. And legacy, whoa, sounds like I'm in a box. I don't like legacy at all. So we're gonna go right back and keep it at the natural. This is where my voice, I think, sounds the best between bright and natural. Then you have some RGB modes here. You can control the brightness, bring it all the way down to 0 to completely turn it off. 8 modes of RGB for your viewing pleasure, right? So I probably would, again, keep it at the last mode to cycle through these colors. So that is about it for the standard mode. Let's jump over to the advanced mode. And in the advanced mode, we have some of the same features. Mute, we already went over that. Gain, we already went over that. Same thing for the headset. You see the difference when you come down to the bottom. Let's move over to flat. Now flat sounds pretty flat to me, right? So let's switch over to high pass filter. I would roll with the high pass filter before I roll with the flat. Now I will say when you use high pass filter, it kills off a little bit of the mid-tone bass, right? So you see this is flat, check 1, 2, 3. High pass filter, check 1, 2, 3. Now it does kill off a little bit of the hisses as well. So if you have that, you find that you have too much of that, you can use this. Presence boost. Now this one sounds a little bit better than high pass. So I am thinking that presence boost is probably the better setting here. In my headphones anyway, it sounds pretty decent. And then you have high pass filter with presence boost. So again, you're losing a little bit of the bass, a little bit of that thump in your voice. So I would just keep it on presence boost in my flavor of opinion. Let's turn the limiter on and bring it down to about 50%, which is roughly 18 decibels. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Not too much of a difference I'm actually noticing, but if we drop it down a lot, it severely limits the audio. You see that? Now I have a compressor running with no real settings set to it just yet. It's at 100% or 0 decibels. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is the sound with it on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is the sound with it off. Ooh, that hiss is heavy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The hiss kind of gets mitigated a little bit. Let's bring the compressor down, down, down. Testing 1, 2, 3. This is heavily compressing my audio, which doesn't sound too bad if I go a little bit higher here. With the compressor on, I am barely skating into the danger zone. So just by adding a little bit of compressor to it and a little bit of limiter, it already is sounding just ever so slightly better, techies and gamers. Does it sound a world of a lot better? I would say no, but it is kind of doing a better job at making my voice sound a little bit clearer, a little bit more refined. And it actually added ever so slightly a little bit of bass to the mid and lower tones. And the hisses has kind of reduced itself as well. I'm on flat right now, but if I go to performance boost, this one sounds probably the best for me in my ears. You let me know, techies and gamers. There could be better settings that I'm setting here. Now, what I do not like that I just noticed is that when I switch to standard mode, it completely removed my limiter and compressor settings in advanced mode. I'll go back to advanced and my limiter is back to 0 and so is the compressor. Now if I select it again, drop it down a little bit to make it sound how I want it to sound, and then I jump back over to standard mode, my limiter and compressors levels and everything have been reset and unchecked. Why? So if you are finding that you find a sweet spot in your advanced mode in the Maono and you want to have this running in the background and you don't want to have that changed, don't go to standard because it will wipe out your limiter and compressor settings. Now let's jump into OBS and check to see if we can apply some filters there to make it sound even better than what it sounds right now. So let's first apply noise suppression. Let's see if we go ahead and add another compressor here. Right, ratio. What does this sound like? I don't know because I'm actually monitoring from the Maono monitoring jack, and it won't allow you to hear audio coming from your PC this way through the monitoring, but I do have it resolved for this. And that is another headset that is actually connected to my PC, so I can actually listen to the monitoring on the fly. And this is what the audio sounds like with double audio settings on this via OBS filters as well as Maono Link application filters. So Xing out of the application as well will kill the Maono Link service entirely, so it will not minimize it or go to your tray or run in the background. It closes the application, so whatever settings you may have had on it will kind of stay with the software itself. It kind of just, I don't know if it uploads to the microphone, but the settings are pretty much the same, because when I relaunch the application and go back to the settings are there, and the audio is pretty much sounding exactly as I left it before I closed it. So kind of a plus that the service won't run in the background, but the microphone seems to maintain its settings. All right, Tech is a Gamer. So my final thoughts on that: with the Maono DM30 running with the actual Maono Link application, how beneficial that is. I found it to be very minusculely, is that a word, minusculely? It's very small on the totem pole in terms of benefits. Now there is limiters and there is compressors, two little filters at the bottom, which I see that seems to make the most difference when you alter those settings. When you're using things like high pass filter, the boosts, all of those things are kind of negligible to me. They make very little to no difference in making the microphone sound that much better than what it sounds like right now. For monitoring, you control monitoring audio on the microphone with the button itself. You can control the gain as well. The fact that you can change RGB colors and also get your firmware update pretty easily, those are probably the biggest perks that you can get with the application. Otherwise, what do I think of the application? Need it or not? That's right. That's what the application itself gets as a rating on my channel, on the Tech Toys and Gaming channel. That's right. I'm giving stuff Hadoukens and Sonic Booms and everything. That's how we're doing it here. If you're looking to change the audio settings, you can do that here with your fingers. You don't need to grab your mouse and drag a cursor across when you can just do it on the knob. As well as the monitoring, you can do all that on the knob itself. You can mute it right here on the knob if you wanted to use the mute features, and if you wanted to apply compressors and limiters, you can do those things via OBS if you're streaming or recording via OBS. So yeah, that's my take on it. If you are interested in downloading the application anyway, I left the link in the description for all you techies and gamers out there on the Tech Toys and Gaming Show. Again, at the end, you go ahead and test it out if you have this microphone and let me know what you think of it. But otherwise, for me, it's just a little something extra for me to have to do to monitor a microphone, which is relatively decent, and I can do most of the settings and set it up in OBS the way I want without having to have the extra cumbersome need of installing more software on my PC. That's my take on it. That's all there is to it. Otherwise, decent sounding mic, decent price, and do I recommend it? Sure, the microphone itself is fine, but I know something else that is also fine. What?